Hello and welcome to my video diary of the Bobbin Head Classic 2026 held at the end of March. In this video what I'd like to do is go over the whole ride, every corner, every turn, every climb, every descent, so you get a really good comprehensive idea of what the 80-kilometre ride was like. So that would help in preparation and give you an idea of what to do to get ready for what is probably one of the iconic rides of the Sydney area. Yeah, so I'll give you a quick overview of the route and where we went, then go through each of the stages of the ride in sequence. So here we go. A quick look at the route. Down past Hornsby, down into Ku-ring-gai Chase. Get down to Bobbin Head and then a nice 5% gradient up through North Turramurra, through St. Ives, out Vale Road, through Terry Hills, then up towards Kinka Reserve where we have our first drink stop. Then down McCarr's Creek Road, down to Akuna Bay, and then we start the nice climbs up out of the valley, back, hit Vale Road again, and then go all the way back to Turramurra, starting at Karuah Road Oval. Yep, 80 k's. About 4 hours worth of work. Pretty good. Here we are back on Eastern Road, turning into Burns Road. We're still in Turramurra. Just started about 5-10 minutes ago, around about 7 o'clock. And heading off, we're going to head towards Hornsby. Now, the one thing I did notice is that at the start, the gradients at the start is, well, they're not, I wouldn't say they're flat, but just a normal sort of beware. There's a few nice little downhills as well. But yeah, good heart starter. Gets you up and going in the morning. In fact, a lot of the roads around the residential areas are quite up and down. So this entire ride is like that. Very minimal sort of areas that are actually flat per se. You're either going down or you're going up. So here we are, we're tracking down towards Hornsby CBD. I think the rail line is on our left hand side, and there it is on the left hand side. It's the rail. We're turning in now, going towards the Hornsby shops, through the built up area. About 15 minutes into the ride now. Should be pretty warmed up by now. It's a nice day, I think. Forecast is about 23 degrees. Yes, on the route you have to obey all the traffic lights and all the advisory signs and directions given to us by the volunteers and police, obviously. The whole aim is a nice day out. We do share the road with cars. Here we go, going through Hornsby now, over the Pacific Highway, the old Pacific Highway, and we'll cut over. We sort of take the turn that'll take you towards Dural, all those sort of places, but won't be going that way, Goldston and those. We'll be heading out now towards Ku-ring-gai Chase National Park. So we will catch the old Pacific Highway and make our way there. This is a nice early morning ride. Not many cars at this time of day, so we get a pretty good run through the CBD. And like I said, we are sharing the road with other cars, so you do have to be mindful of that. Nice sunrise coming up. So you can have a bit of a break here. Yeah, just a few pointers on the video itself. I do run power meter and heart rate monitor, and I have a Garmin head unit, so all the stats that the Bobbin Head unit gets, I try and stick it up on the dashboard just as a reference to see what's going on. So here we are, we're heading off towards Ku-ring-gai Chase National Park Road. Over the rail line. Nice quick little right and left. Now, as part of the video, I have tried to capture every intersection that you do on the 80k ride, and that's for informative, just to let anyone watching the video get a really good comprehensive understanding of what's involved in terms of the number of turns and the sort of the terrain. Get an idea of what the terrain is like if you are planning to do this ride. And here we are, we're now heading out, going for the national park. We've been on the road now for about half an hour. Just clicked over the 10k's. So I'll be crossing the new Pacific Highway here. Get up a little bit of a speed now, get there we are, into the national park now. Yeah, get the legs all pumping out, heading east. So yeah, the low sun wasn't a big deal, but just remember we are sharing the road, so just have to be mindful of that. Here's the old toll booth. Yep, no problem there, straight through. The road conditions were nice and dry, apart from a few road hazards in terms of filled in potholes and things like that. Yeah, you just have to be wary. These roads weren't too bad. So now we are on Ku-ring-gai Chase Road, and here's the nice downhill section. Now this section gets pretty steep, and there are lots of sharp turns. So because we're still in a bunch, most people are sort of kept up together in the bunch, so we gingerly sort of head down through here. Now a few people do decide to go on the other side of the double lines, but not many people did that. If you really wanted to gun it, I suppose you could, but I think it's advisable not to, because the edges of the road aren't always nice and smooth, and you need to keep your wits about you. As part of this video, I actually was running a rear view camera as well, to get a perspective of the bunch behind as well as the bunch in front. And what you'll find is, as the day gets longer, the bunch will thin out, obviously, as you go past more stops and people get they find their own level, and the bunches all spread out. But this is quite a good descent. It goes for a good 10-15 minutes, and you can get up to you could get up to about 60 k's an hour if you really pushed it, but because of the number of people, I don't think that would be advisable. I think we got up to about 35-40 k's, You are not on the brakes all the time, but certainly like in this area there where the sharp turns, you do need to have the brakes all working, obviously. So goes without saying, on a ride like this you better make sure your bike is in good condition. Now we going along, not much time to look at the view. There's a lot going on. People coming from the back, from the front. I didn't see any mishaps as such on the day. Most people are pretty good when it comes to not doing silly things. And I think that the sort of riders that this attracts, they're fairly experienced too, I would imagine. Here we are at Bobbin Head, going through the causeway, over the bridge. That took about, about 20 minutes, 15-20 minutes. Nice controlled descent. And now the fun starts, because this is the first true gradient, sustained gradient, I would say. We did encounter, during the suburbs, we do encounter a few good gradients of about 8% and 10%, but they're very short-lived. This one will go for about 4Ks. Average gradient on this rise is about 5%. So it's not, I mean, by cycling standard it's pretty straightforward, but if you're just a average Joe like me, this is a good one. This is a 5% average gradient for about 4K, so you do need to get into a rhythm. Watch the potholes and the filled-in potholes while you're doing all the rest of it, and get into a rhythm, and then find your cadence that you're comfortable with. So what I was doing, I was watching my power output and my heart rate. Now, get that into the sweet spot. Like I said, I'm just an average guy, so I'll be struggling to get 400 watts up and sustaining it. There's no way I can do that. So for me, 100 watts is about it's about where you want to be. Yeah, guys on e-bikes go past you on this hill, they're cheating. No. Anyway, get your rhythm up and just go for it. So I was going, from what I can see here, doing about 150, 70 RPM, 70, and just find your rhythm, and then just totally chug up the hill, and away you go. Before you know it, it'll be done. So now we've been there, it's almost another 20 minutes I think we've been there, and there's the little post box. We're going to exit the national park, and that's more or less the end of the climb, and we'll be approaching the first official drink stop, I guess. Yeah, the first drink stop, and this is to cater for the 27, 57, in fact all rides this is the first drink stop. So if you're doing the 27, the 57, etc., then you can have a pit stop here. I'm not sure if there are any toilets around here. Yes, there are. So this is the first official stop. Now I've got the rhythm up, so I just keep going. I think you need to ride to your rhythm. If you try to ride to someone else's rhythm or whatever, then you're just gonna upset your plans. So I just rode straight through. My plan was to stop at Kinka Road, which is in Duffy's Forest, and that's after a nice rise. So there you have it. That was the first climb done and dusted. Nice climb. Now we get to relax a little bit on a few downhills. We're on Bobbin Head Road, heading off towards St Ives. Basically, we will be going not far from where we started, actually, so we'll be sort of like looping back, and so this gives you a chance to just let the legs have a bit of a breather, stretch them out, give them a bit of a change of scenery, literally, and have a bit of a break. But then as we go past here, we'll just ease on into another rhythm on the road. And here we are approaching the spot where the 27 kilometre guys will keep going straight while the rest of us do a left. There you go. So if you're doing 27, this is where you end up back at Karuah Oval in Turramurra. So we're not actually far from where we left in the morning. We've sort of doubled back, and now we're going off towards St Ives. Yeah, here we go. Into St Ives, turning on to Illawong Road. Making our way towards Vale Road, actually. But before you do that, you have to encounter the cycleway on Burns Road. Nice little piece of cycleway. It's basically down and then up. So we will actually come onto this on our way back, but in the morning you trek towards St Ives and you go down. You can get a nice run, and it's an interesting little cycleway. You have a nice downhill, and then you get a good 10% gradient on the other end. So just be aware that there's not much room on here, so you can pass if you let everybody know you're coming. And we're crossing over into St Ives now, and the gradient starts to kick in, and we pop up at the other end, and nice 25 k's into the ride, and that was a nice wake up if you hadn't fallen asleep. Certainly wake up. Now we are heading out towards we're in St Ives, we're heading out towards Vale Road. We'll do a few nice fast sections. Used to be one of the old stops, but it looks like they've taken it away. They've only got a toilet stop there, and off, getting closer to Vale Road now. There we are. As mentioned, we're on our way to Vale Road, and as you notice, we're doing lots of left turns, lots of right turns. Now, if you actually looked on the map, you'll find that the quickest way to get to Mona Vale Road is actually, there is a straight line. You can actually go there much faster. But I think whoever designed the course has needed to get the kilometres up, so I'm pretty sure that's why we do them, just to get the kilometres up. And I think it's a good thing. I think you get to see the suburb, you get to, it doesn't get boring. You have to be on the brakes, be on the turns, be aware of the road condition, because remember, we are sharing the road with the cars and other cyclists. So we are approaching now. Here we go, Kinter's Road. And then one more right-hand turn. And we will approach Mona Vale Road on this street, at the end of this street, Douglas Street. So here we go. So what I'll do is I'll just point out where Mona Vale Road. It's a left-hand turn onto Mona Vale Road. It's unrestricted. So what that means is we are sharing the road with the cars and other cyclists, and you just have to be aware of that. Here we go. A little bit of a gradient going up. There's the sign. We're off to Cherry Hills. And I think what I'll do is I'll just let you enjoy this part of the ride, which is probably one of the best bits of the ride. Nice downhill, followed by a nice uphill at the end. So no more to say. Catch you again at Kinka Reserve. Of course, those who ride bikes a lot will know that for every downhill you got to pay the price, and the price you pay is the uphill. So here we go, we got a nice 10% gradient at the end of those downhill runs. So this definitely tests you out. It gets as much, according to my Garmin, it got as much as 15% in sections, but it is a nice sustained 10% climb. And of course the prize at the end is the first major drink stops, or the second major drink stops for the ride, but this is the first drink stops that I'll stop at, the Kinka Road. So this one has toilets, it has fresh water, Gatorade, bananas, chocolate and muesli bars. So it's a very good comprehensive stop. I think most people would take advantage of it after the downhill excitement, and then of course that uphill section. So stop here for about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and start off again. Yeah, as I mentioned, Kinka Road was a good stop, very good stop, recommended. It's for the 80k ride, it is actually halfway. So depending on your style, if you can get there, I'd suggest that's the one to stop at. Again, depending on your stamina and your style. The stops are sort of every 25 k's, about an hour between stops. So it depends on you. Of course you can stop anywhere you like, and if you really need to, as long as you've got your own supplies. But to replenish supplies and stuff, then yeah, those sort of stops are the way to go. So if you're doing the 80, the 57 and the 104, you'll come through Kinka Road. And after that, you will back on the main sort of quality roads, and you are now going towards the spot where the 57k people will say goodbye and head back to Turramurra, and the 80k people and the 104k people, well, they take this left-hand turn and they head off towards Akuna Bay. So we will be approaching McCarr's Creek Road, which will go towards West Head Road down to Akuna Bay, and then we'll come up back around the other side. So this is the challenging part of the ride, in my experience. Basically, you will encounter 3 really nice hills and 2 really good downhills. And you got to remember, you've just done 40 k's. So you've already got 2 hours of riding in your legs. It's 9:30? Yeah, you've already got about 2 to 2.5 hours worth of riding in your legs. So that is why these hills are more than a challenge. Not because of their steepness, but because of the fact that you've already got kilometres under your belt. Now we are now on McCarr's Creek Road, so the calm before the storm basically. So we will head down here. Anyone who's familiar with this part of the world will know that it's not flat like this everywhere. What will happen, it will dip down and then you have to go back up. we pop back into the national park. Now in terms of scenery, this part of the route is the best part. You get the nice bush, and then at the bay areas you'll get the water and a few good looking boats. So the plan here is we take this left, so the road on the left hand side is where we'll be coming back on. We take this right deviation and we come down into a pretty steep, very similar to the Ku-ring-gai Road descent. But we take this road, and as you can see the bunch is very thin now. So we got the 27k's have gone, the 57k's have gone, so you're left with the more serious contenders, the more serious riders are now doing it. So the bunch is a lot thinner, you can get up to speed a lot easier, a lot safer if you wanted to. The speed limit through here is actually 40 for cars, and I guess that applies to everyone. The conditions were really good, nice dry road, so you can get a bit of speed up. You just got to be careful of fallout from the trees, the twigs and the branches. You just got to be aware of that. And the edges of the road are not very good, so be careful, very careful as you're doing your left-hand turns. Nice run. Turning off now, heading left onto West Head Road. Yeah, now we'll begin a nice climb, which will go for just under 2k's. I think again it's about another 5 to 6% on average, maybe a little bit less. So this will certainly test you out. So after the climb, just before the drink stop at Kinka Reserve, this is the next major one. So it kicks in here about 6% here according to the Garmin. But again, like the other climbs, you just find your pace, settle down, get into a rhythm, and then just chug away. And before you know it, you'll get over the top. So that's what you do here, slow and steady. bit under 2Ks, I think, or maybe even a bit less than that. But now we come up to the junction where the split between the 80 and the 104 happens. So on the right, the 104s go right and they head off to West Head, where they loop back and come back to this point. The 80s, we go left. So that's what we do here. Here we go. Yeah, so if you took the right hand turn, you whack on another 20Ks. 20K, yeah, 20Ks, 24Ks. But now we start a sort of a descent down towards Akuna Bay. So after that climb, you can just shake things out a bit and start descending. And yeah, so it's time to just recuperate, have a bit of a break and let gravity do the work. Again, the road condition was pretty good, but a lot more bumpier, a little bit rougher, a few more potholes that you got to be aware of. So you need to be on your guard. Not much traffic, obviously, no bikes, no cars. So just enjoy the trip. Enjoy the trip down to Akuna Bay. Yeah, the road conditions start to get a little bit better. Not too much better, but just a little bit better. And on the right there you can see Akuna Bay with all the big yachts and motorcraft. So on this ride, it's a nice spot to just stop, take a few pics, take a few photos. I think the event has a cameraman on this descent as well, so if you're lucky they'll get a few shots of you as you come down the hill. So here we go, off to the right, and just park the bike for about 5 minutes here, have a bit of a break at Akuna Bay. And then it's back to work. So this is the middle climb in the Akuna Bay area. So as you ride out of Akuna Bay, you got a bit of a climb to negotiate. So you just come back up, and then we're heading towards Illawong Bay. So if you're keeping track, then this is the second climb of this section of road. And now here we go, we're going to descend now, because that climb's fairly quick, but you then descend down into Illawong Point, and then that'll be the start of the next major climb. Again on the right you can see the water. Nice descent. Yeah, you could have another breather here if you needed to. Right, so here we start. This is the last major climb of this section. We're heading back to McCarr's Creek Road, and this is the rise out of Illawong Point. And this one's probably the best of the lot in terms of duration, in terms of gradient, and in terms of resources, because this is now kicking in after you've done 56 k's. So unlike the first stop at Kinka Reserve, which is a pretty nice gradient, it's only a short gradient and you're halfway into the ride, so you still got a bit of energy. This section goes for about 6 k's, and the gradient maxes out at about 10 in some spots. I reckon the average is probably between 4 and 6. So as you can tell from the stats, it's a slog. It is a slog, and if you're gonna cramp up and all those sort of things, then this is probably where it's gonna happen. There are a couple of areas which you can have a bit of a relax, but it's pretty short-lived. So, but once you get over this one, then you'll feel good. You'll feel real good. Now that the last climb is just about done and dusted, it might be a good time to talk about gear ratios. Yeah, I got a 50-34 on the front and 11-34 on the back, and that was great. That suited my riding style pretty good. So my previous bike was a 11-28 on the back and a compact on the front, 50-34 on the front, and I struggled a little bit coming out of Illawong Point, but this gear setup, compact crank, 50-34 on the front and 11-34 on the back, was pretty much just right. Right, so we're all done that section. We're back at the McCarr's Creek Road intersection. Quick break to recover from 3 pretty decent hills. So we rejoin and we start the journey back to Turramurra. We've got about another 20 k's to go, and yep, so it's pretty straightforward. Here we are going back into the Terry Hills Duffy Forest area. back into the suburbia, all the back streets. And we are now approaching the last official major drink spot. After the drink stops, we continue on through the back streets, and soon after that we'll get back to the road that we took when we did the split. So if you can remember back to the start, where the 50k people went off towards the right and the 80 and the 104s went off towards the left, well, this is that road. So we've basically joined back onto the track that the 57k rides do. So this is well and truly on the home stretch. It's a mixture of free fall, free and easy, as well as a few little hills there and now and then. And this is a little deviation that they've added to the track this year to get us onto Mona Vale Road. We used to go through Duffy's Forest and come out at Forest Way and turn right onto Mona Vale Road. This year we went down this goat track, and it's an underpass, so you've got to just slow right down, go down, take the dip through the underpass. Mona Vale Road's above us, and then there's a nice quick little hill that you got to negotiate. Just a nice little steep hill there. Bang, 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 bang. Make sure you're in the low gear before you hit it, and then you pop out onto Mona Vale Road. And this is basically it. This is nice straightforward run back towards St. Ives and Turramurra, where we will finish the ride. So this bit here is pretty flat, so you can get a couple of k's up, and you're now with the fast flowing traffic. Approaching Forest Way in Terry Hills. We came past here in the morning, and we took Moira Road. That's on the right hand side. So that was a nice run down Motor Vale Road. As you can see, the traffic's starting to build up a little bit as we go down. Now the road will kick up now. It'll kick up a little bit, and here we are. It starts to get a little bit of a rise here, and then we do a left into the school just here. Now the reason for this is we have to head to St. Ives. That's on the right hand side of the road, and so they get us to do this little dog leg here through the school, the car park, and then we'll come back to an intersection, a light controlled intersection, and as we cross over we will be in St. Ives. Here we go. Nice way to do a right hand turn. I think it's a lot more safer and much easier to control. So now we're in St. Ives, and I think we're about, yep, there you go, 6k's from the end. Now it is a little bit deceptive. You think, oh, you're 6k's from the end and should be pretty straightforward. Well, actually it is sort of straightforward, but as we found out in the morning, there are a few little ups and downs in this suburb, a few little inclines to overcome, and some downhills as well. Yeah, now we'll turn left onto Warrimoo Avenue. So this is same road we came up in the morning. So now we're pretty much well and truly backtracking back to Karuah Road Oval in Turramurra, and Warrimoo, if you can remember from the morning, joins up to the Burns Road cycleway. So that's where we'll end up here now, a little bit further now, and then we'll hit the cycleway. Yep, here we go. We will do this little right hand here, and then now we're on the Turramurra side. Sorry, we're on the St. Ives side of the cycleway, and then we'll shortly pass the sign coming up here. There it goes. Bang, now we're in Turramurra. So again, this cycleway is pretty steep. It will get to about 10% on the other side. So remember, just did a bit over 70 k's, 3.5, almost 4 hours in the saddle. So you have to overcome this last sort of annoying rise to get over this little hump here. So, yep, here we go. Chug a chug, chug a chug. Get over. Yep, all done. Yeah, so now we're in Turramurra and there are a few little rises we have to overcome as going through the suburb. Short, sharp ones. Yep, can't do much about it. Just chug along. Pretty, I won't say exhausted, but the legs are certainly a little bit tired at this stage. So over here, we just meandered down, and the road in front of us is Bobbin Head Road. So if you did a right hand turn, you'd end up back at Bobbin Head, which we did at about 9:30 in the morning. So here we are. It's now 11:30 almost. Yep. So 2 hours later, here we are, crossing over and well and truly on the ride back to the oval. So that just about does it now. We will turn into Karuah Road, and we are now on the final section of the ride. We will just go up this street, this part of the road, Karuah Road. It will peak and then it's a downhill back to the start-finish line. So if you've made it this far, then basically you could coast the rest of the way. Yep, all in all, big day out. Okay, so we now just coast down a nice gentle coast into the finishing line. Slow down, look out for the speed bump. And they're all done and dusted. Here's the photographer on the right, say cheese, and we're finished. So just over 77 k's, about, total time is about 4.5 hours. I think ride time was about 4 hours, so just under 20 k's, I think about 18, 19 k's an hour, which for me is about as good as it gets for a ride like this. It's pretty good actually. And yep, we just go to Karuah Oval. Yeah, there we go. 18.8. Yep. Oh, that's all right. Yeah, 19 k's an hour. And get to enjoy a free massage at the end. All done. Good ride. Try it out.